This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Do you play FanDuel and feel like you aren't creating consistent money-making lineups? Go over to the DFS Doctors on Twitter at the DFS Doctors and DM them with promo code Detroit Sports to get a free trial for their analytically formulated 70% lifetime profit rate NFL and NBA lineups. The whole purpose of playing daily fantasy sports is to get out there and compete and give yourself a chance to win. So go over to the DFS Doctors. Let them help you. They have analysts on staff that look at the best optimal lineup that you can put out there to win money. So why not take advantage? At the DFS Doctors, promo code Detroit Sports.
CBD is a game changer sweeping the nation. This hemp extract is the natural way to elevate your mood, eliminate aches and pains, reduce anxiety, and keep you sleeping all night long. It can even cut your workout recovery time in half. Get in the game today with 20% off all orders of CBD and lavender products from Lavender Lane, a lavender farm located right here in Milan, Michigan. Just go to lavenderlanemi.com today and enter coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order. Guys, look, these amazing products are infused with calming lavender to maximize their effectiveness, meaning your CBD items only take minutes to take effect, which is way quicker than those pills you were about to swallow. On top of it, they are perfect for men and women. Lavender Lane has lab-tested CBD creams, tinctures, and roll-ons that are perfect for any situation, even if you're on the go. Put your health back in your hands by heading over to lavenderlanemi.com and entering coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order of CBD and lavender products. What do you have to lose? Your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. So if you need lavender gifts for your loved ones or just looking for the natural way to ease your discomfort with CBD, go to lavenderlanemi.com and use coupon code Detroit to unlock these miraculous benefits of CBD and lavender. That's lavenderlanemi.com. And remember, use coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your CBD and lavender products from Michigan's own Lavender Lane.
What's up, Detroit sports fans? Welcome back to the Fan Reporter Show, made by fans for fans, powered by the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I'm Nick, and sitting right across from me is Andrew's going to give us this week's topics.
Well, fan favorites Bobbert, Quinn, and Matthew Patricia are back for an encore. Lions tank watch is still in full effect, and some former Pistons are back in the Hall of Fame conversation. One of these things is not like the other. It's the Fan Report.
Is it still an encore if nobody asked for it?
It's a forced encore. Like, think like a coup, but the opposite.
A coup, but the opposite. Well, you lost me there.
Like a forced exit, but forced encore.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Speaking of forced exits. Just kidding. We don't talk about that here. No, so obviously the news dropped earlier this week that, I guess we're starting with that?
Yeah.
Okay. News dropped earlier this week that the Ford family and Rod Wood, I guess Martha Ford and Sheila Ford and Rod Wood, have made the decision to bring back the tandem of Bob Quinn as GM and Matt Patricia as head coach of your Detroit Lions. Kind of dropped in the middle of the day. It was what? Like noon when it came out? Like, it was pretty early on. It wasn't late.
I'm pretty sure it was before lunch.
It might have been. I don't know. You know, coming from a 9-7 football team with Jim Caldwell, where Bob Quinn infamously said, "We are better than 9-7," to then following that up with a 6-10 football team, to then the very next year follow that up with a 3-win football team, 3-1 and a tie. Whoa!
So far,
true.
Knowing the Lions will probably win their last two,
and end up with like the 9th pick. Yeah. So obviously we are trending in the wrong direction here. Now a lot of people will tell you that they're rebuilding. Okay, fine. A lot of people also tell you, oh, we had so many injuries. Okay, but you were 3-4-1 before the major injury happened, and you weren't getting any better. This win with Matthew Stafford is a 6-win football team. There's no doubt about it. The way they played, and I don't care who you talk to, I don't care what you say about Matthew Stafford's injury, this is the worst Lions defense in history, in franchise history. They are literally, like, I think it's like 400 and some odd yards or 500 yards away statistically from having their worst defense in yards allowed in the history of the franchise. And the previous mark was set by the 2008 0-16 team.
That was a fun team.
Yeah. So I don't know about you, But last I checked, Matthew Stafford doesn't do much to stop the other guys from running all over them and throwing all over them. Or in Jameis Winston's case, putting up 300 yards before halftime on you.
And injuries didn't trade Quandre Diggs away either.
Exactly. Granted, Diggs was not having a very good season with the Lions beforehand, but nobody was.
I don't think it helped trading him.
No, I don't know. But basically, here's what's going to happen. Going to go into the offseason. Lions are probably going to bottom out purposely the last 2 weeks so that they can get their good draft pick. Lions will have that good draft pick. It'll be top 5, maybe even top 3 if they're lucky. They need some help. They'll go into the offseason. Paul Pasqualoni will be fired. Darrell Bevel will be brought back, and you'll probably see the defensive line coach get fired as well. And that's going to be your scapegoat for the defense. It's Paul Pasqualoni. And
we've talked about that on the show before.
It's an absolutely telegraphed move. Yeah. And, we don't really know entirely, technically, whose defense it is. Is this Patricia's defense? Is this Pasqualoni's defense? It could be a little bit of both. But there's your scapegoat. They're going to feed that to you as their scapegoat. You're going to see all over the Lions Reddit that's their scapegoat. That, we're going to be a better defense next year because we got rid of Paul Pasqualoni. However, I don't know of any defensive guru. I don't care who it is, but I don't know of any defensive guru head coach who just allows a defensive coordinator to run the system and scheme that he did and just blitz on like 9% of plays instead of actually blitzing when he's supposed to and continuously rushing 3 men to get the quarterback down after down after down. You're supposed to be a defensive guru. I know you're a bend, don't break kind of guy, but that's taking it to a new level. Yeah. So I don't know how much is going to change year over year when you keep the head guy still there when he's the one who allowed this system to begin with. So, and I don't know what you're going to bring in, that if you're going to bring in a guy who doesn't follow the same thing schematically, then you're asking him to do something he's not, and how's that going to work out?
Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering here is, I am not going to sit here and assume that either Martha or Sheila Ford know much about the X's and O's of football. But
Martha Ford ain't going out there and telling him to run a Tampa 2. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm just wondering if they're expecting a scheme change. Like, what are they expecting to be done differently? Where they're like, we expect to be in playoff contention next year. I just want to know what that expectation is based off of. What tangible evidence are you giving me that this team can actually compete for a playoff spot?
I mean, that's what the expectation's been set at, that they expect this team to be a playoff team, which, if you ask me, that's incredibly dangerous for a franchise that is coming off of a 6-win season and a 3-win season to then say that we want playoffs next year, or the guys we have in place are done. Because that, when you hold a top 5 draft pick coming off a 3-win season and then you have a lame duck coach and a lame duck GM, why would they do anything to help the future of your franchise at that point? If you're telling them they need to make the playoffs or bust, these guys are going to go out in the offseason, overpay big time for players that will fill a need immediately, but are probably pushing 30 or beyond it just so that they can sneak into the playoffs at some point next season. But that doesn't help you 2-3 years down the road. That gets you to the playoffs this year or next year, technically.
That's not the type of situation you want to be in terms of your ownership and your coaching staff going to a year where you may very well have a top 3 draft pick.
Oh, very possibly.
That's not the situation I want to be drafting with.
No, absolutely not, because that's dangerous. It's reckless, if you ask me. Because that's the type of scenario where say you get the number 2 pick somehow. You're sitting there, and for some reason the Bengals decide to pass on Joe Burrow. That type of situation, you're passing on him too, and you're screwing your franchise over for the next decade because of it.
Yeah,
you can't. If I were to sit here and watch the draft and have them pass on a guy like Joe Burrow at number 2 overall, who I'll tell you right now, I don't think is going to be there, obviously. But if he was, I would honest to God shit myself. I would be so shocked and disheartened and disappointed that it would drive me mad. I'd throw things. I would throw things.
Well, I mean, seeing how mad you got when we drafted T.J. Hopkins.
I walked out of the room.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I was pretty pissed.
You walked out of the room. I just sat there. I put my hat over my face and I just didn't look. I almost suffocated myself.
Don't get me wrong. I think T.J. Hawkinson can be a good player.
We were live on air doing that.
I think T.J. Hawkinson can be a good player. I did not love the draft pick though. I never once thought we were just a tight end away from making a playoff spot or winning a division. Never once thought that.
It's a luxury pick.
This year very obviously proved that.
Yeah, it's a tight end is a luxury pick. I mean, I feel like everyone knows that, but apparently Bob Quinn didn't. But yeah, so I don't know about you guys, but I'm not expecting anything out of next year. I'm actually expecting. In my opinion, I think this move, although it doesn't surprise me they're coming back, I think the decision to bring them back is actually going to set our franchise back a few years, not just 1 year. Because I do think now you're setting it up where Quinn and or Patricia, even though they said that they're not necessarily tied together.
Oh no, they are tied together. They are absolutely tied together at this point.
Where Quinn could be making some dangerous moves that could hurt your future and not necessarily make you good. Like this is like this is not a 1 year setback. This could end up being a multi-year setback
if
because of the decision.
If you're making moves that are so you can just make the playoffs next year, and saying, okay, we did that. What's next? You know, that's obviously a very dangerous situation. I mean, look at the way that the Pistons are going. That they've kind of done very similar things in that regard, and it's not helped them as a franchise in any way.
So what is it exactly? Is it just blatant disregard for fan opinion? Is it trying to be the smartest people in the room? Is it just they have money invested in these two guys and they don't want to?
I'll be honest. I don't have a single legitimate reason to justify why you would bring either one of them back right now. Bob Quinn, his drafting has been terrible. Taylor Decker's not a great player. He's not. He had a good rookie year. He's gone downhill ever since. He's made bad free agency decisions. He's made bad trades.
I mean,
he's got two good draft picks in my mind. It's Frank Ragnow and Kenny Galladay. Jared Davis is not a good player. And you can't play him with your second round pick from this year. And Jelani Tavai, they can't play together. And frankly, we still don't even know what he is. But he didn't look all that great either. Amani Oruwariye didn't even get on the field for most of the season. You're talking a lot of guys here that you can't, aren't successful talents right now.
Again, the only reasoning, and I don't agree with this reasoning, but just saying the only reason I can even think of is that they believe, as in the Fords, they believe that there is more value than we believe there is in having consistency in the front office and coaching staff and in being loyal to your front office and coaching staff. I believe in consistency and loyalty, but I also believe in calling it like I see it.
Good, great, grand, wonderful.
I also
this is
believe
the NFL.
I also believe in calling it like I see it. When you look back on this season, neither of these guys gave us any reason to be like, yeah, we should be loyal to them and consistent. Let things play out. Like, no.
I believe it was Kyle Meinke that was one of the reporters that was allowed at the closed door press conference. The Lions had to announce they're bringing back Quinn and Patricia, and he's the one who asked him someone, I don't know if it was him. He asked him the question. He asked him the question: Are you do you have more belief, or do you feel that Matt Patricia's improved in his second year as a head coach over his first? And he said that they both emphatically shook their head yes and said yes, that he is better as a head coach, but. Watching the football games myself, I don't see it. I still see the same stupid mistakes he made. I still see an inability to adjust on the fly. Yeah. And it seems that he's always a step behind every other head coach in every single game. I know they led in 12 football games this year, but you know what that tells me? That they don't know how to adjust, that other teams and other coaches are leaps and bounds ahead of him and able to adjust, and he can't counter that. You had a good enough quarterback this year that gave you a lead in games, despite your god-awful scheme as a defensive head coach on the defensive side of the football and god-awful defensive play overall. You had a good enough quarterback to get you the lead, but once a team adjusted on you and changed the way they did things or changed up their scheme or changed up their defense, guess what happened? You got left behind.
You went poo-poo.
Basically. You took the Browns to the Super Bowl.
Now, another dynamic of this that occurred also in the past couple days here is that the Lions sent out an open letter to fans, specifically the season ticket holders. And basically, this letter outlined or attempted to outline their reasoning and their expectations. Just a quick couple quick excerpts. They said that although injuries happen in the NFL are never an excuse, nonetheless, our team has played through serious injuries this season to some of our best players. Despite the injuries, we have remained competitive in each game, and our team depth showed up as a strength. We also believe that the most successful teams in our league have a long-term plan, stability and leadership, and exhibit patience to follow their plan. To that end, we are committed to year 3 of Coach Patricia's plan. To be clear, our expectation is for the Lions to be a playoff contender in 2020.
I don't know what they're watching, but I'll tell you right now, I look at depth on this team as a complete weakness. They had 0 running back depth, 0 quarterback depth. The O-line depth was not good. Mm-hmm. The linebacker depth was not good. The corner depth was terrible. Mm-hmm. What depth are you talking about as a strength here? I'm sorry. I don't see any of it. I really don't. And then for them to say, oh, we are competitive in almost every game, except, kind of lately you've been blown out. And sure, competitive for a few quarters or half a game. And then as soon as adjustments are made or players start to warm up a little bit, guess what happens? You get your shit rocked. Mm-hmm. This football team is not a good football team. And I know the roster isn't very good at all, the active roster with the injuries. But you can't look at a team that hasn't won since your quarterback went down, and frankly even been close to winning since your quarterback went down, and say that depth is a strength. Yeah. You can't say that the reason we lost is because of injuries and then tout your depth. I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense. You're talking on both sides of your mouth. You can't tout your depth and then blame injuries for losing every damn game. Exactly. You can't. It doesn't work that way. If you have depth, you'll win some of these games. The Panthers strung off a 4-game win streak after losing their MVP quarterback.
Look at the Steelers.
The Steelers have had like 7 quarterbacks out there, and one dude's named Devlin. Who's a quarterback named Devlin?
The Saints lost Drew freaking Brees.
Teddy Bridgewater's the best backup in football.
Because they had depth. That's what I'm saying. I do love in this letter how they did also point out that that stat that the Lions are only one of 3 teams, so how they lead in each of the first 12 games. And they're trying to
so what you're saying is consistency over 4 quarters is a weakness of this team. Got it.
They're trying to hang their hat on it. They're saying our team has played well enough to be very competitive. That's a direct quote.
I disagree because I've watched this team get stomped week in and week out and just be an embarrassment. They have one of the worst They have one of the worst backfield groups I've seen in a while. I mean, I got more excited when watching Kevin Smith run the football than what I've seen so far. Mm-hmm. Sorry, it's the truth. Bo Scarborough doesn't do it for me. Does he have moments? Sure. Kind of like the kid a little bit. But is he good? No. Mm-hmm. He's not done anything exceptional. He's averaging 4 yards flat a carry. Woo!
Which I think is that better than Carolyn was averaging this year or no?
No.
I can't remember what Carolyn was averaging.
I don't think so, but it may be.
But for his type of back, because Bo Scarborough is a little more of a bruiser, for his style of running, 4 yards a carry is not the worst. It's good for his style of running.
It's really not. The league average is 4.2 yards carry.
I said for his style.
A lot of running backs with that style.
But did you find the yards per carry here?
I'm getting it right
now. In general, I think Carrion was kind of disappointing this season, in my opinion.
So he's actually averaged 4.2 yards per carry. So Carrion he's been Bo Scarborough. He's been quite literally league average. Mm-hmm. Carrion was 3.4 yards a carry. Yeah. So Carrion was playing terrible.
That's what I'm saying. Carrion was not having a good season this year. Anyway, do you have anything else to say about this letter? I didn't want to really overanalyze it.
Well, there was a few other excerpts that you wanted to pull out of there, wasn't there?
Those are the two I wanted to pull off. The top one about them pulling out that stat.
I'll be honest with you. I think the letter was a ploy to try to get season ticket holders back. I think it was disingenuous, and I think anybody who knows who's watched these football games can tell you honestly that this is not a good football team. This roster is not talented enough. They don't have any depth. The coach doesn't know what he's doing. And frankly, at this point, I don't think GM does either. The GM paid $17 million for a $10 million defensive end.
Yeah.
GM paid $10 million for a $5 million corner. And then he also spent a ton of money on 2 offensive linemen, one of which is no longer in the league, and the other one is frankly not very good.
Random question for you before we move past the Lions, because this is kind of something that struck me when it happened. Did you find the timing of Stafford's placement on IR kind of odd?
Yeah.
Like,
once they found out they were safe and their jobs were safe, they placed them on IR.
Yeah.
Duh. I mean, I could have told you that was what was going to happen. The reason they weren't placing them on IR was they were going to tell them to come back if they thought their jobs were at risk.
That's what I'm saying. Do you think it was because they thought the jobs were at risk, like we got to try to win games, or or were they using them as a bargaining chip?
No, absolutely, it was to try to make them come back and win games. Yeah, if it comes out that they were gonna go, that they were holding Stafford hostage, and he went into Martha Ford's office and said, "I'm gonna play him if you don't make our job safe."
Yeah,
oh my god, that'd be
that's
terrifying. If that's the situation, that's a big yikes. But thing is though, is if that situation,
that's total conspiracy theory.
Well, if that situation, I would hope Rod Wood, Martha Ford would just fire them both immediately.
Yeah,
because frankly, that you can't do that. It was definitely hey, our jobs are safe. Let's go ahead and throw them on IR now because we quote unquote need the roster spot. Whatever.
I feel like our entire team's on IR. Like they put so many people on IR this week.
Well, they got to field enough players. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. They do have a lot of injuries, but at the same time, you weren't a good football team when healthy. So there's that.
I want to shut Kenny Galladay down. Like just go.
Absolutely, shut them down. The game they're going to tout you on is that game against the Chiefs. It's the greatest loss in the history of football. But you know what? The reason you lost that game
against the Packers.
The reason you lost that game against the Chiefs is because you couldn't adjust. Yeah. That's why. You had a chance to get
coaching was a big reason why you were in it, and then coaching was a big reason why you couldn't pull it off.
Mm-hmm. So,
because I did think that was both Patricia's shining moment of the season, and at the same time one of his worst moments of the season. The same
and they seriously need to consider in the offseason bringing in a goal-to-go situational offensive play caller because Darrell Bevell does not know how to call plays within the 5-yard line.
I wonder if they can just create that position.
If you can create a passing game coordinator or a dude that quite literally just keeps the coach from going on the football field, I think you can create a position for that.
All right, real quick, checking up on Lions Tank Watch. Right now, Lions, since the Cardinals won, Lions are 5th. Mm-hmm. We got Cincinnati still at 1-13.
They're solidified in the 5th now.
Then we have Redskins at 3-11, Giants at 3-11, Dolphins 3-11, and then
so you're a half game behind all of them.
And then Lions at 3-10-1. Fucking tie.
You just had to tie. Frankly, they should have won that game, but that's a different story.
And I love how the narrative changed because like, oh my god, not winning that is going to come to her. It's like shit, not losing that's going to come back to her. But so the good news for Lions,
we did say it was going to come back to haunt us later on in the year. We just didn't say why.
The good news for Lions fans is 2 of the teams that are ahead of you play each other, when the Giants and Redskins. Mm-hmm. So you're guaranteed to move up at least one as long as you lose.
As long as you lose,
as long as you lose, and then. The other 2 teams that are below you also play each other, but obviously one of them is the Bengals. So you got the Dolphins playing the Bengals, you got the Giants playing the Redskins. Mm-hmm. If the Bengals can beat the Dolphins and you lose,
you want the Dolphins to beat the Bengals because that'll give the Dolphins wins.
If the Dolphins beat the Bengals and you lose, you're in 3rd.
Mm-hmm. You need
1 game to go.
Yes. And frankly, you would really like it if either the Redskins or Giants won out because that would be nice.
One of them's going to lose because they play each other.
So you'd want situationally.
But I'm saying this week, if the Dolphins win and you lose, you're in 3rd.
Right. You would want the Redskins to win out, the Giants to win, the Redskins, so what you want is one of those teams go 2-0 and one of those go 1-1.
Whatever team wins this week, you want the other one to win next week.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you. And then obviously you want the Dolphins to beat the Bengals as well, which I would think they would. Mm-hmm. The Bengals are
We'll see.
Yeah. Did you see that Will Greer's getting a starting job over in Carolina? Mm-hmm. I thought that was interesting.
It's gonna
no more Kyle Allen project. Yeah. I mean, he has been pretty terrible lately.
What's your confidence level in the Lions? Well, I don't want to talk about other teams, but the Lions themselves actually doing what they're supposed to do and losing these next 2 games.
I'll be honest with you. I think that they are quite literally on board with the tank.
It sounded like
just
it.
based on the way that they've done things schematically and the amount of having certain players only play half the amount of snaps they normally do. Like I think they're on board with the tank,
and they've been
and both the Vikings and the
and Denver's
Packers,
not an easy place to play either.
The Broncos in Denver. That's not an easy place to play. I think that team is trying to see what they've got in Drew Lock. So I think they've got I think they're going for it a little bit.
Yeah.
And the Packers, there's a very good chance they have something to play for Week 17. So you may be having that team in full bore. So I think you've got a good chance to lose both of these games, especially considering I really do believe that Patricia and Quinn are on board with the tank here. I really do.
Yeah, they've because the Packers have clinched a playoff berth, but they are very much in a dogfight
With the Vikings. And also, technically, I believe the Packers could get the number 1 seed, too.
No, but I'm saying in general, they're in a dogfight for a bye week. So
Yes, they are.
because all 4 teams at the top of the NFC right now are 11-3, including the Packers. So it doesn't look like it's something that's going to clear up just this week. So yeah, they may very well be playing for something Week 17. So
Yeah.
let's hope the Lions don't blow this, but we have a pretty realistic shot at least getting down to the 3 pick.
Right.
All right, moving on to the NBA. Pistons still, so I mean, they've been reeling off a few wins, but then they lost to the Wizards. Game yours truly was at. No Blake, no Andre, but it's still a game you should be able to pull out. But I think the more interesting story, some former Pistons, Richard Hamilton, Chauncey Billups, Ben Wallace, have again been nominated for the 2020 Hall of Fame class. They joined nominees such as Kobe, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Chris Bosh.
Who are all in their first ballot.
Yes. But the angle I want to take with this is, with those 3 guys, Rip, Chauncey, Big Ben, what, in your opinion, what are their merits in terms of Hall of Fame? Do you think the 3 of them are deserving? Do you think only one of them is deserving, none of them is deserving? What are your thoughts on these guys getting
I'll
in the
be
Hall of
honest
Fame?
with you, as much as I love that team and as much as I love all those players, I really don't think all of them have that great of a case for the Hall of Fame. I think the only one who has any shot, in my opinion, or at least is somewhat deserving to go, it's Ben. And that's because he's arguably one of the greatest defensive players in the history of the game.
I think Ben does deserve to go.
I think it's arguable. I think you can argue against it for sure, but I believe he does deserve to go. Frankly, though, I don't think Chauncey or Rip do. They one NBA championship, 2 NBA finals, 1 finals MVP between 2 of them, no other awards. 2 All-Star games maybe between them?
Chauncey's got 5.
5? Still,
Yeah.
it's not that much. No big-time accolades between them, no MVPs.
What do you mean?
no,
Chauncey won the Citizenship Award.
No big-time accolades between them, no MVPs, no... How many first-time all-teams?
He doesn't have he doesn't have a single first. He has an All NBA second team and 2 All NBA third teams and 2 All NBA defensive
about Rip?
second team. Let me take a look at Rip here. I don't think Rip ever made an All.
I don't either. Either way, I
be
don't think
shocked.
either of them are deserving.
I was going to say I would take Chauncey in the Hall of Fame over Rip.
Oh, I would too. But if frankly, I would too.
Rip's never been nominated to any All NBA teams.
Didn't think so. I would as well take Chauncey over Rip, but I don't think either are deserving. It's the Hall of Fame. You got to be, you're supposed to be the best of the best. You're supposed to be at the top. And frankly, I don't think Chauncey was ever a top 5 player at his position in the game when he played. I just don't. Was he top 10? Absolutely. But top 5, no. Not when you got guys like Steve Francis going out and Chris Paul was around and you had guys like Allen Iverson.
Let's put it this way: 2008, he wins a Citizenship Award. 2009, he wins a Sportsmanship Award in 2009. 2013, he wins Teammate of the Year Award.
Okay,
I mean,
can you
these
shut
are
up?
some heavy accolades.
Can you shut up? Just stop. Just stop. You're wasting my time.
These are some
here.
heavy accolades.
No,
I love Chauncey as much as a nice guy, but yeah, I think
Pistons
of
Hall
those
of Fame,
3,
yes.
I think of those
NBA
3,
Hall of Fame, no.
It's Ben.
It's Ben. Yes, it's Ben for sure.
But the
really,
question
it's not
is,
even
do you
close.
think Ben gets in this round, or do you think it's going to take a while?
No, I think it's gonna take a while. Again, I don't think he's a first, second, third, fourth.
How many people get in per ballot?
That I don't recall.
Because this is a pretty stacked ballot already, even without the repeat guys. Just with the first timers, is a pretty stacked ballot. But it's going to be interesting. I think how many foreign Pistons are in the Hall of Fame? I mean, we have Zeke, right?
Zeke, probably Joe D, if I had to guess.
I'd assume Rodman's in there.
Yeah, I'd assume so. Dave Bing probably is. I bet you Vinny Johnson probably is.
Let's see.
I bet you Mark Aguirre probably is.
Okay, here we go. I got you right here. Former Pistons in the Hall of Fame. Wait, nope.
Detroit Piston Hall of Famers. I got it right here.
Is it
Walt, yes, Walt Bellamy. He played 2
so
seasons
say
in
what I'm looking
Detroit.
at then. I just wanted to make sure.
Dave Bing played 9 seasons in Detroit. Chuck Cooper played 1 season, but he only averaged 4 points. He was inducted in 2019. Didn't know that. I don't even know who Chuck Cooper is. Adrian Dantley played 3 years. Dave DeBuscher, knew that one. He played 7.
This also counts T-Mac, AI.
Yep. Joe D. Harry Gallatin only played a year. Grant Hill.
Yeah, Grant Hill, Isaiah, Bob Lanier, Bob McAdoo.
Yeah.
Those like your big
Well,
ones.
McAdoo only played 2 years here.
Yeah, but and Dave Boucher.
Dave DeBuscher, yep. Dennis Rodman, Isaiah Thomas, George Yardley, and then you have Larry Brown, Chuck Cooperstein, and Chuck Daly as head coaches in the Hall of Fame, and Rod Thorne, Grant Hill. But
I didn't realize Adrian Dantley made the Hall of Fame.
Who?
I didn't realize Adrian Dantley made the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, who?
Adrian Dantley, Bad Boys.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I guess he did. So I mean, looking at those names, Chauncey and Rip, no. Ben, yeah.
All right. I think we have one more quick thing that we want to talk about before we close out the show.
Can we? I mean, we don't even know it was about us.
And we can speculate, though.
Okay, all right, fine. All right, fine.
Do you have it up?
I don't, but I can probably find it pretty quickly.
Anyway,
me just a
so
second here.
from our live show, one of our fans from our live show was scanning the reviews on the podcast, on the podcast network in general. There's one review we have a very strong suspicion could be directed at this show.
Let's just say it fits. The shoe kind of fits here.
Would you do the honors, Nicholas?
So the review's a 1-star review, and I got to tell you, this is. If this is about us, if it is, this is quite possibly my crowning achievement as in broadcasting. I want to find out for sure if it is us, and then print this out and then frame it and put it up on my wall. But the review says, and this is why it sounds like us, because this is very much similar to things that we have said, and I'm almost positive I have said both of these things at multiple times on our live show and probably the podcast as well. But it says, it's titled, In Less Than 8 Minutes.
In less than 8 minutes.
One of the hosts had called someone a butt boy and said something about jerking off. Not interested in taking my time for that level of quote unquote analysis. If you are, this podcast is for you. Disappointing. And so one of our viewers from our live show sent us that and said, is this you guys? And I said, oh, most definitely is. It quite literally is a crowning achievement.
Oh, man.
I want to invite that person to watch our live show, because
Let's just say that person revisit our show, let alone actually made to the end of this episode.
They might explode if they did. They might explode if they did, because I'll be honest with you guys, we are far more tame on the podcast than we are on the live show. Yeah. Just because there's a lot more random happenstance that goes on with the live show, and we get a little rowdy sometimes. We still have fun in the podcast, but we get kind of rowdy sometimes in the live show. So, but
the podcast is more time for like our serious sports talk,
right?
And then
we deep dive.
And we mess around.
We deep dive.
Yeah, we mess around on the live.
But so I just want to send a big thank you out to that person. Even if it's not about us, I got a great laugh out of your review because it does very much sound like us.
I think it would have been even better if it was saying that and then a 5-star review to top it off.
Oh, man.
So I think we might single-handedly tank the Detroit Sports Podcast Network's review by overall score by like a couple points there.
Sorry, guys. But anyways, thought we would just have a little bit of fun with that before we close out. Thank you guys for listening this week. That is going to be all for this episode. We will catch you guys next week. Same time, same place. Our studio never changes. So hope you guys enjoyed. And if you have any questions, hit us up on our Twitter at Real Fan Report. Check out our live show. www.twitch.tv/thefanreport. And if that's only if that's your quote unquote type of analysis that you like to listen to. But again, guys, thank you, Andrew. Thank you for joining me, and thank you to Detroit Sports Podcast as well, as always. And we'll see you guys next week. This has been the Fan Reporters. Bye, fans.
For fans.
Thank you guys again. Have a good week. Peace out.
Peace out, jerk offs.